Welcome to the Writer Showcase Podcast. I'm Phil Naessens, and I'm the host of this weekly podcast brought to you by the authors and you, the listening public. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or would like to support the work being done here, please contact me at thewritershow.wordpress.com and I'll get back with you right away. My guest tonight found herself in a 15-year marriage that just simply outgrew itself, met someone else who happened to also be married at the time, and ran into all sorts of complications and was even labeled a homewrecker, amongst other things that I can't even say on my daily show, let alone this one. She's written 2 exceptional books titled Shattered Reality and Burnt Promises that tell a remarkable tale of love lost, love found, and also how she handled all the pitfalls that came her way. And believe me, folks, oh, Maron, she came through a lot of stuff. Please welcome author Brenda Perlin to the Writer Showcase Podcast. Brenda, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Thank you for having me. After hearing that, I feel really good. You built me up. That's a smart tactic.
Well, that's what we try to do around here. This is promoting writers, so I have to. Did you want me to say, this is a terrible book and a bunch of other things? I can't do that. I wouldn't do that. These books are great. So how's life as a homewrecker? I have to ask you.
It's been very interesting. Definitely not a normal life. Not that what I lived. Most of my life was pretty simple and easy and predictable. This has not been quite what I had in mind for my life. But things changed. Things changed me rapidly. But I was an Orange County housewife with a husband, and now I'm not.
All right. That makes sense. That's just a nutshell of it all, really.
Yes.
It is definitely an interesting tale. There's no doubt about it. So who's Brenda the writer? Who are you exactly? You gave us a little snapshot, but who are you the writer? Who is Brenda Perlin?
I'm just an average girl. I'm from I'm a Valley girl from LA, the Valley, like the Galleria. Kind of still have a little Valley accent. And, I was raised with good morals. I was a personal trainer for many years, so I was really athletic, really into dogs. So I was a married woman with dogs who was a personal trainer who just lived a normal life, loved family, and I still love family. And I really became involved with writing when I was a teenager, and I just wrote every single day, going to coffee shops and writing on napkins, and that's really how I got into writing. But I never really thought I would be a writer or write a book. That was not really my plan.
For most people, it's not, I found. But I'm glad that you did write these books. I've been fascinated by these stories. Now, what were some of your literary influences growing up?
You know what? And I was just hearing one of your interviews, and I heard that Judy Blume was brought out. And I can't help but bring up Judy Blume again, because for me, she was, she wrote this book called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And her story inspired me because at the time, I was a kid and I felt like an outcast and misunderstood. And I read these books and I thought this girl was me. I thought that she really got me. I didn't realize that she was an adult. And I really related to her story. So I read everything. I ate up her stories. And she really changed me as far as writing and as far as just having someone who would relate to me. Later on, I got more into literature, and I liked reading Somerset Maugham and J.D. Salinger, and I really got into all the cool old literature. I just ate everything up. I was really, really into reading. Maybe I thought it was cool, to read all these old guys, but I really enjoyed it. And then later on, Pat Conroy. He's really my writing idol. I don't know if everybody's read a lot of his books, but for me, I love what he's able to do with his emotions, the way he shares so openly, even though he writes fiction. I know some of it's from his life. I mean, you can just tell. So I would say Pat Conroy right now is my biggest inspiration.
You brought up J.D. Salinger, and you know what? The Catcher in the Rye is one of the better ones. And yeah. I got to tell you, I thought it was about a baseball catcher. That's why I picked it up. Holden Caulfield.
You're funny. You're
Yeah, that's
funny.
honestly what I thought, but then I was just learning how to read at the time. I think that was 2 weeks ago. But
Yeah, exactly.
now,
Exactly.
now, who is big in your life now besides these great authors that you mentioned?
You know what? I've met so many great authors from doing what I'm doing, through the internet. I mean, John Emile Augustine, Lisa Day, Nadia Kilroy. I mean, there's so many good writers that are independents, and they really, they write amazing books. And most of the people I know are not getting rich. Katie Emerson, I'm called Kim Much Emerson. I mean, these people are so talented and brilliant, but it's very hard, to make a living writing books. So I'm inspired by so many people from all over the world.
Yeah, I've met a lot of authors too, as you know, and a lot of them are struggling because it's hard to sell books. Doesn't matter who you are, really. It's very difficult. But that's why the show is here. We try to help you out as much as we can to promote your work, to give you a media kit, and do what we have to do. Now, if you could have dinner with one writer, living or dead, who would you have dinner with?
Okay, you're going to think this is funny, but you know what? Actually, even though I love Judy Blume and I love Pat Conroy, I'm going to say, and you just spoke with him, but Mark Berry, because we've become friends, and he lives in England, and I'm hoping that at one time in my life that will become a reality, because he's a great, inspiring, talk about brilliant. He's brilliant. So I would really like to sit down with him and I don't think I could keep up with him because of his brain. He's a little bit smart, but you know what? He's something else, and he's special. So I would really like to sit down and have a conversation with him. I don't know if you've read Carla, but that is an amazing book.
I haven't read that book, but I've had him on the show numerous times, on my daily show, in fact. Talking about his ultra-violence books with soccer hooligans. And we also did Hollywood Shakedown.
Yes, that's a good book, too.
And Mark was the person I was thinking. I was going to say Mark Berry, too.
Oh, copycat.
Sure. But I talk to him on Skype all the time. He helps me test my microphone because we're on the same time zone thing here most of the time. Right. And we're both insomniacs. But yeah, he's a tremendous writer. He's going to be here in a couple weeks to talk about his newest book. I don't know the name of it yet, but he definitely will be here. He's great. Do you have a blog?
Brilliant. It's just like I don't know where he gets his stories, or it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I don't either. I sometimes wonder about him, to be honest with you. It's amazing because he doesn't even have a genre. He just writes.
Yeah.
That's the toughest road to hoe for an author. But he's tremendous. Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you have a blog, or do you guest blog anywhere?
I do have a blog. I have 2 blogs. I have one blog that's, for my books. It's Brooklyn and Bo Chronicles. It's under BrendaPerlin.com. And I have a lot of authors that write blogs, or I share their stories or their books on that blog. And before, it used to just be for me and my story, but I've found that it's better to share it with all these different authors and get their stories and get their books out there. So it's really, it's a work in progress. It's constantly evolving. But my second blog, I'm doing a book called Tie the Bull, which is a children's story about divorce and a kid that struggles with not just his parents getting divorced, but also bullies. And that is a big topic. In fact, Mark Berry wrote a brilliant story about bullies. But that blog will be hopefully for children who can share their stories so they don't feel alone.
That's a tremendous idea. There's no question about that. Now that's at BrendaPerlin.com?
No, the first one's BrendaPerlin.com. That's for my my stories, for my Shattered Reality and Burnt Promises. I don't even remember the name of my books, Burnt Promises. But the Tie the Bull is TieTheBull.com, my children's book. And that's not it.
Awesome. Now,
I'm actually co-writing with Katie Emerson, who is my publisher.
Okay, perfect. Now, do you blog just to blog? Do you blog about topics, or do you do any of that sort of thing?
I used to every day. I used to write something, just about whatever I was feeling or something pertaining to, the home wrecker type story. But I've really come more to sharing, whether it's about help for authors or basically, blogging for other authors. So I've really kind of changed it around a little bit. But, I always want it to be interesting and insightful and helpful. So, and for the blog with the children, I really do want kids at some point to participate. And I think it'll be a good forum for them to be able to share their feelings.
Perfect. And that is, again, can you give us that web address?
That is Ty the Bull. So it's TYTHEBULL, Ty the Bull. And come join. Please sign up, follow it. I'd love it.
Awesome. Send them over there. That's what I say. Get on over there and check it out. Because blogging for me, I do it every day almost. It helps me promote my show. And the thing is the three most successful authors in terms of sales that have been on this show all got their start with the blog. That's how the publishers found them. So I think blogging is important especially for an independent writer, I would think, because no one knows who you are. They need to know what you think and how you write. And I think it's important. How important is blogging to you? You still do it, obviously, so it must be somewhat important.
We're all little fish in a big sea. And I think we're doing whatever we can. I work as a group. I have a lot of different people that we share. I'll be on their blog. They'll be on my blog. And I think, we're all trying to get the word out and build a new audience all the time. So I think it's precious. I really do. Otherwise, I don't know how we'd get the word out. There's right now, especially with all the independent books, there's so many books out there, great books, not so great books. So we're all fighting to get noticed.
All right. I understand about building audiences. I have to do that daily. Do you guest blog anywhere? Have you done that? And did you have any success?
You know what? I don't know if it does. I have to do blog chains, blog tours, guest blog. And you know what? I don't know. We put all our time into this kind of stuff, and we don't know if we're just tooting our own horn or what. But I'm personally trying to do whatever it takes to get them noticed, to get my books noticed. And, really, I think I have a valuable story that I want to be shared. So I hope it gets noticed. I really do.
Well, I guest blog at a website called poundingtherock.com, and I do it every Monday. I do a fantasy basketball article, and the owner of the site, he's a regular guest on my show. He lets me post my show right inside the blog post for that day because it's fantasy oriented. And I can tell you that my show, that is the number one show out of all of them during the week in terms of downloads. So I can attest to the fact that guest blogging works. But it's where you blog. I mean, if the site has as many visitors as you do, as your site, then you're probably not going to get anywhere if you have a small blog. You have to go for a big blog, and it's not easy to find them sometimes. But I'm glad to see that you do that, and you'll go out there and try to get the word out because it's so difficult. I got to tell you, it must be. Now, what challenges have you faced when you were trying to get your book published?
It was a real struggle because I didn't know, exactly what to do. And I kept sending query letters out, to these big publishing firms. And of course, I got rejection letters after rejection letters. If they were nice, I got a rejection letter. Otherwise, I wouldn't hear anything back. So eventually, I got a letter back and said, yes, we're very interested in your story. So I was really excited. I didn't know at the time that I guess you can call them a vanity press. But I had no idea because they represented themselves as an honest publisher. And because you weren't paying for the book to actually be published, I thought they were legitimate. So it was really discouraging. My first publication, the first book, was published under this publisher, and it was a nightmare. So it was not a good experience.
Now, you have a publisher now, though, and you're pretty happy, right?
I'm very happy. I've got a publisher, Master Coda Select Publishing, and I met them through Facebook. I had read this author, Arlene R. O'Neill. She wrote a book called Broken Spokes, and I really related to her story. It was a real life story about a young girl that got hurt, and we became friends. I had to be friends with her because I loved her story so much, and she was actually an editor for Master Coda. And so she introduced me to Kim Emerson, who is the owner, her and Rebecca White. And I guess my book was a fit for her publishing company. They took me on. So it's a blessing. It's funny how one odd thing leads to another. So yeah, it's been a good thing.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Now, how do I don't want to sound stupid, but I'll give it a shot anyway. I guess I'm used to it. But what do you think is the better of the two, to be independent or to have a publisher?
You know what? I haven't really figured out. I think for me right now is to have a publisher. This is a small publishing company, and, hopefully it'll grow. But the good thing about where they're at right now is we're not neglected. We're all taken care of, and we're all working as a team. We're all trying to share each other's work, the other authors. And I think it's great not to be doing it 100% alone. You've got a great support system, and we're really working for each other. So it's not just for my books, but it's for other books. And it's a really positive feeling. And, working with people that are, have heart, and you can communicate with them. I'm talking about Kim and Rebecca. They're such good-hearted, caring people, and they're smart, and they know the business. And so I feel like I'm in really good hands. And there are some authors that are really helpful and are special to me, like Douglas Davis is one. I want him to know how special I think he is. And, of course, John Emile Augustine. I have a lot of friends, who are working with the company who really make it a good experience. Nadia Kilrick is another one. So, there's so many that are so helpful. I don't mean to name drop, but I'm thinking of all these names. And I'm so appreciative to people that are actually, who've read my story, because, at first people were not that accepting. They heard, originally the title was Homewrecker, and it got people really upset, and people really judged it. In fact, even in the company, some people still haven't read my book or don't want to read my book because they look at me like a homewrecker. And, even though I called the book that, it was more told that the title was more of a joke, because I really didn't see myself as a homewrecker. And it kind of, hit me in the face, because now I had all these people that didn't want to read the book because they thought it was just this one thing, And so I really feel like I've been misunderstood. And so I'm grateful that there are people that leave me reviews, and I'm so thankful they got it. They looked past the infidelity, and they saw the girl. They saw the full story. So about that, I'm grateful.
Well, that's what we want too, for them to look past the infidelity part and give this book a chance, give both these books a chance, because, we're going to talk about this in the next segment, but a lot of people, it's taboo, and who wants to read that? But this is so much more than just that, and I think people are going to learn a lot from you, and I think they're going to enjoy your journey, and they'll probably stay awake with you all night, because some of it is just hair-raising, even for a street kid like me. Now, do you use social media to promote your work? Now, I know that you're on Facebook, because you and I, that's how we met.
Yes. You know what? I don't know how people sell books nowadays without the help of social media. We're all trying to figure out how best to sell what we have. And for me, I don't know how else I would promote my book. So I do a lot on Facebook and Twitter. People are big on Google. I really haven't taken advantage of like Goodreads or even like Yahoo support forums or anything like that. But really, for me, Facebook has really connected me with people, and have actually introduced people to my book. So, you know what? Even though there's a lot of flaws with Facebook, we don't like where, everything is about paying for promotions. There's a lot of flaws with Facebook where a lot of us are not very happy. But you know what? It's been a blessing, because it's helping reading our books out for people, for the public. And so I'm a big fan of it. And I know a lot of people have walked away from Facebook, but I'm not there yet.
Well, I don't use Facebook. Doesn't help me much as far as actual listeners to the show. Twitter doesn't really either, except for Mondays on my daily show. But I see the importance of it, and I think as a writer, you almost have to. But my question would be, does it work for you, though? Has it worked? Have you seen evidence that social media actually sells books?
Well, I've sold books. I mean, I can actually say I've sold a lot of books, maybe not a ton of books, but I've sold a lot of books, more than I ever thought. So I'm not making a fortune, and I'm not selling thousands and thousands of books, but you know what? I'm selling books. And this is a girl, unknown author that writes a book. Now it's Shattered Reality, which kind of, falls in the, it sounds like every other book, or even Homewrecker even. I mean, who would think that anyone would pick up an unknown author with a book named Homewrecker or Shattered Reality? I mean, really. So, to say that I've sold a lot of books is really, to me, I'm grateful.
Yeah, I guess so. I think so too. I think it's good for you, and that's what matters, is it works, because everyone has a different way of doing things, and I just try to get everyone's opinion that come on the show. Now, writing tools and writing software, do you use them? Do you find them useful? What do you use to write your novels?
You know what? I'm old school. I'm telling you. I mean, if I could still take the pen and paper, I would probably still do that. But I'm such a sloppy writer that I don't think that would be very good. It was hard for me to try to read my writing most of the time. But you know what? I'm basic. There's so many different programs. I'm on a Mac computer, and I guess I use Pages, to write on. And you know what? I don't like new things. I'm so not techie. I read about all these different things, and I read up on all these different programs, and you know what? I'm just not there. I'm basic. So I can't really recommend anything that is that good. I mean, it's amazing that I use TweetDeck to put my tweets on sometime, or, I mean, really, I'm not very good in the technical world. So even with my blog, if I have problems, I run to a friend who helps me. So, and I wanted to do, everybody was doing newsletters. So I went to Rebecca White, who really works on website building and really good with marketing. And I went to her and had her help me just to get a newsletter on my page. But now the hard part is how I'm going to do the newsletter. So, I'm so not techie. It's pretty pathetic.
I'm not techie either, and I have a ghostwriter who writes for my blog, so because I just learned where the keys are here on this computer. But I understand. I use StyleWriter 4 to write my blog posts, because it's an editor, and the editors of these, because I write for a couple pretty big sites, and the editors, I want to give them something that is less work for them, because I know how much work it is. So that's what I do. And I've got a couple of other programs that people have given me that I haven't actually tried. But yeah, I'm an old-fashioned guy too. Pen and paper. I have like a notebook that's 6 subjects. It's a pocket-sized one, and that goes everywhere with me. So I get it. Now, any advice for writers that are listening? Any advice you want to pass along?
I'd say, first of all, you've got to go with your heart. Don't let your inner critic stop you from being real. I think, that's a big thing. If you have a story, you want to tell it in the way you want to, and you don't want to do it because you're worried about what other people will think. You want to keep your uniqueness, and that's something that, no one can take that away from you, and that's what makes you special. So I think you have to really look at that. Another big thing is to not sign a contract until you really know what you're signing, because when I signed my first contract, got me into a lot of trouble, and I regretted it. So I would say you really need to find a friend or a friend of a friend who knows a lawyer who can help look over the contract for you. I had this guy, Zach Abrams, and Mitchell Baker helped me look over my contract. That was after the fact, but, you don't want to make the mistake I did. So I would definitely say get your business smarts on and pay attention, and don't just sign your life away.
That's great advice. You know what? We're going to take a break and try to pay some bills around here if we can. And when we return, we're going to take a look at both of your books tonight, Shattered Reality and Burnt Promises. We're here with author Brenda Perlin. This is the Writer's Showcase podcast, and I'll be right back.
Are you a fan of historical fiction? If you are, then why not try author Mary Ann Bernal's The Briton and the Dane series of historical fiction novels. You can purchase these novels from her website at www.maryannbernal.com. That's www.maryannbernal.com. Are you looking to escape into lands full of fantasy, drama, and adventure? If you are, why not try author Kay Metter's books? Their journey begins, Journey to Freedom, The Night of the Dixie Wilds, On Top of the Rainbow, and Transcendence will get you there. Kay Metter's books are available as an ebook or in paperback, and you can find her at authorkmetter.com. That's authorkmeador.com.
Welcome back to the Writer Showcase podcast. Brenda Perlin's here. She's written 2 amazing books. They're actually her memoirs, written in the third person to avoid all kinds of interesting events that could take place. They're called Shattered Reality and Burnt Promises. Why did a nice girl like you write books like this, young lady?
Wasn't my plan. My original plan, I was going to write about the wedding business, honestly. I was turning 30 and I was going to get married. And I really was looking for something to do with my time. You know, my husband really said he doesn't care what I do as long as I worked hard. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work really hard and write this life story. And I really thought by writing about the wedding business and what a sham I thought it all was, I thought at least it would keep me busy and it would make me look busy. And he said he didn't care about the money as long as I worked hard. What I realized later is he did care about the money, and he really had, he put his work ethics onto me, and, it was a whole different story. But I really felt it was important to tell the story after things changed for me. Maybe about 15 years later, I was going through a divorce, and that's when all of a sudden I remembered my story, and I thought, you know what, now I really have a story to tell. And so I took it out of the drawer and I went back to it and I just basically added part 2. And that's how I had originally called my book Homewrecker, now Shattered Reality, Brooklyn and Bo Chronicles. But it really came from a good, honest, wholesome place. I was excited about getting married, and I wanted to share the story about, how silly it was to buy flowers for thousands of dollars, and everybody's telling you have to do this and you have to do that. That was really what my effort was in the story. But things certainly changed.
Well, absolutely they did. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh Maron. See, I was like, every time, almost every 5 pages, it was oh Maron.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like I was doing my sports show.
I'm just grateful that you read it. That really pleases me, because you know what? I mean, honestly, I think book 1, I would think of more of a chick book, because there's such a coming of age story. And I think I want people to know that if you just hold on tight, the action really happens. But I think it happens more in part 2. And I don't know. And I think where women might appreciate the coming of age story in the first part of the book. So I appreciate that you actually read the first book and that you liked it. So that's cool.
I did. You know what? And you know that I did, because I can talk about it in detail. Now, I guess it was more for me. I was just curious, because I kind of knew your story from a friend. We have a mutual friend who asked me to bring you on the show.
Yeah.
And he basically told me what was up, because he and I talk a lot. And I was just curious about it, and I wanted to know how I was going to interview you, because we'll get into that later. But so you were doing your thing, and you probably, I guess, let's start with Joey. See, I did read the book, folks.
Oh, wow.
Now, I wanted to start with Joey, because this happens, I think, to a lot of ladies, because they always meet a bad boy, and they think they can reform them, and they spend an ungodly amount of time with these people, years in fact, and nothing ever comes of it. Now, how much did that relationship play into the part where you wound up marrying Gerard?
Huge. And why that is, and I blame it all on him. We go right back to there when I was, I knew Joey, or Brooklyn knew Joey when, at 19. he was such a cheater, and she loved him. It was really her first real love, and she thought she could change him. And, he did have some nice qualities, and they were close. And I think what really made her change after, I think, 7 or 8 years on and off with Joey is, his infidelity. He was constantly cheating on her, and she would move on with her life, and he would always try to get her back, and he always got her back. And I think when I think Gerard only happened, I don't think Gerard would ever have happened had it not been for Joey, because this Brooklyn character was looking for someone that she could trust. And one thing she did know about Gerard is he was going to be trustworthy. I mean, it was just something that she knew. So she probably would never have ended up with somebody like Gerard. But, Gerard seemed faithful and loyal where Joey was not. So it definitely changed the course of her life.
It sure did. Her life, your life, it's all the same, right?
It is all the same.
Yeah, we're trying to stay in character, but it's not easy to do for me anyway.
It's not.
Because this is a true story, just everything has been changed because of certain reasons, legalities mostly, and that makes sense. Now, so you get it done with the player, and you meet this other guy. He's 10 years older, I think it was 10. Yeah, 10 years older. And you were married for like 15 years?
Well, no, actually, Gerard was 10 years older. This new guy was like 18 years older.
Okay,
so
yeah. We're not even there yet. I'm still talking about Gerard. He's 10 years older? No, we're going to go right through this for folks so that they get excited to buy this book, because they should be. Now, so you went from the player to someone who's 10 years older. You seemed more together, and you were married to him for 15 years. Now, for you went through some struggles. You want to tell us about a couple of health struggles that you had that basically, I think, became a perfect storm for what happened next?
You know what? I think you're right, and I didn't realize how much so, but in 2007, I was struck down with a rare autoimmune disease called transverse myelitis, which is in the family of MS, and I was paralyzed. And it really changed the course of my life and everybody's, I think it changed my relationship with my husband. I mean, even though we worked together as a team and he was very helpful and really there for me, I think getting sick really, I felt, gosh, I need to stay with this guy now that he's helped me, from a dark place that I needed to stay with him for the rest of my life. But then what also happened, it really separated us, because now what was left was only sadness. There was no good anymore. We had nothing else to laugh about or be happy about. It was just sadness. And I think that it really was, you're right, the perfect storm. It changed the history of our relationship as it changed, the course of my life.
The other part of the perfect storm was when your father got sick. This is what I think anyway, because I did read the book. He got sick, and he was with someone, not married to her, but with someone for about, 20 years?
Yes.
And all of a sudden, where it was, I'll keep my money, and you keep yours, and when one of us departs from the other through death, because they were together for real, then our kids get the money. Not my kids get your money.
Right.
Well,
what happened was, they always said that was a big thing between their relationship, because she had so much more money than my dad. She was very well-to-do, and she liked having the money and the status, and but she would never have wanted his family to get the money. So they really made a very strong point of saying that her money would go to her family. She had a few kids, even though they were all well off, except the daughter, whatever. But she wanted to make sure they were protected, but they never did anything legally. But so when my dad got sick, all of a sudden she saw dollar signs. Even though she didn't need his money, she thought, you know what, I need to get some money out of him. And her kids kind of egged her on. So here, while my dad was dying, her family were suing him and suing us, bringing us in and out of court, suing for his money. So it was a really ugly time. So even though he was dying of cancer, if you talk to him, he said he was dying of a broken heart because he really loved her. And you know what money does to people that you think love you. I mean, this woman called me her daughter, And it changed when my dollar signs were involved. Forget about it. Forget nothing. You're nothing to me. So, I mean, it was crazy. And it was just over money, and she didn't need the money. And that's what he'd say to me. He'd say, Brenda, if she needed the money, don't you think I would help her? Don't you think I would give it to her? So, yeah, it was a really heartbreaking time in my life personally. And a heartbreaking part in the story because it's, people deal with loss all the time and people getting cancer, sick and dying. But this is really the dark part of life when people are that low and money is that important that it changes everything.
I think that happens in a lot of families. I know I saw it happen in mine, but it's amazing how much they love you one minute, and then they love you even more when they think they're going to get some cash. And when they don't get what they want, they don't love you anymore. So maybe they never did, or maybe they changed. Who knows? But all of that led up to meeting Bo. Tell us a little, how did you meet Bo? Now, Bo is your husband now, right?
No, we're not married.
Okay. I'm confused there. I thought, it doesn't matter. Anyway.
Yeah, no, we haven't gotten married. We won't. He's had bad relationships. He's had bad experience with relationships. So I don't see that ever happening. But when we met at the gym, and I wasn't looking to replace my husband. I mean, I like to say I was very married, but I really was very married. I was just so happy. It was the first time in months that I'd really been out of the house. I had been sick for so long, paralyzed for so long. So when I was able to finally get back to the gym, I was just so happy to see faces, to actually say hi to anybody. So for me, it was like a girl in a candy store. I was just so happy to be able to communicate with people. And so I met him at the gym, and he was just, like a normal guy. He was just a nice man. And we started talking about our relationships, and that's really how it started. And then things developed, and we just became such good friends. And the closer we got, the internal struggle that I felt really took over, because here I have this man that's so kind and that I can communicate with and have so much fun with. And then I go home to my husband and we're both miserable. So it was really a very hard time in my life. It should be a happy time when you meet someone and there's new love, but it was really a miserable time because I was I was deceitful and I was torn. I was emotionally pulled.
Yeah, that's just it. When we were kids, we grew up in the same era. Adultery was frowned on, and when that happened in your families, especially when it involved someone with vastly different ages, labels get tagged on people like gold digger. Like, for example, they see a young gal with an older guy, the first thing they think of, that dude must be rich.
Yeah.
They used to, here in Greece, it happens all the time. But still, though, the stigmas and the things that you were branded with, with your moral upbringing, and your parents were very strict moral people who instilled or tried to say, hey, look, you get married for life. Your parents were married for life, right?
Yeah. I mean, my parents, there wasn't, I don't even remember very much divorce in my family, but no, my parents always stayed together. And even though their relationship was far from perfect, I mean, that's just what they came from, and that's all they knew from. And that's what, I mean, I never thought I would ever get a divorce, be a part of that population. And, really when things started going bad for me, I really thought, that I needed to stick it out. I really flip-flop with it. I mean, even there were so many days, after, going to the gym and really being torn and thinking, you know what, I need to just forget this. I have a husband, and even though I'm not happy, he's a good person. We're not perfect together. We're not really making each other happy. But, I really felt I had to go with my moral compass and do the right thing. And then I struggled with it. I had my sister-in-law's mother. I would have lunches with her every day. I would cry to her. She's 80-something years old, and I would tell her I had feelings for this man. I didn't know what to do, and you know what? She was so understanding and so supportive, and it really helped me because it was so hard to keep it all inside. But really, it was a pull because it was against my moral framework. I had never cheated on my boyfriends. I was always a very I was always very loyal to my girlfriends. So this was a real internal struggle.
Yeah, I'm sure it was because that's a tough one. Because you get branded, you get labeled, people think they can't trust you anymore. You get called a homewrecker, among other things. But when this all happened and you finally decided, I can't live this double life any longer, and you told your husband, and I'm sure your boyfriend now, Bo, told his wife, all hell broke loose then, didn't it?
Well, I'm not going to tell you exactly because I think people need to read the book, how it happened that everybody found out. But it was ugly. I mean, I think some people should have been arrested for what happened. But let read it, and people, you can leave your comments, leave me reviews, tell me what you think. But yeah, it was a pretty ugly way for it to come out, and because I certainly wasn't sharing it with the world. Well, maybe I was sharing it a little bit, and that was the problem. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty bad, and we did not have very happy spouses, to say the least. And that's really what basically the unhappiness of Bo's wife really why there's a second book and a third book, because she just got crazy. I mean, she just did these outlandish things, and the whole story just took off. So I have to thank her for that. I thank you very much for giving me a beautiful trilogy.
She certainly did that. There's no question about that. And I'm going to give him a little hint, though, because I have to do this.
Okay.
Because I need you to know I read this book.
I know.
Folks, when you email people, make sure you do it from a computer that no one else knows you were on, and then delete it if you don't ever want it to be read again, because you can't trust nobody in this world, especially when you leave a trail behind.
Exactly. Beautiful.
I did read the book, didn't I?
You did.
That was. I was laughing when you did that. To be honest, I said, no, she's not that stupid, is she?
Yeah, she really was.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to say that, but you know what I meant. I mean, whatever. But so now the spouses find out.
Yes.
And you think that would be the end of things.
Yeah.
And then book 2 comes along, because that was Shattered Dreams.
Well, there's shattered reality. Please don't cause trouble here. And then there's Promises. I had a hard time coming up with those titles.
All right. Yeah. See, I changed the title on you too, didn't I? See, I'm a nice guy. I try to do my best for you people.
I should just call it Book 1, Book 2. Make life so much easier.
It might be. Okay. Well, anyhow, that was Shattered Reality we were just talking about, and now you have the next book in the trilogy is. My computer just crashed. Go ahead. What is it again?
Promises, and that basically leaves off where Shattered Reality ended. And, it really goes back to the story a little bit, and how, Bo and Brooklyn met, and, what happened with the spouses. It kind of goes over that a little bit, but it gets a little more detailed because now we've got some courtroom drama. So we have a little bit of suspense and a little thrilling, a little obsession and compulsion going on, especially from Bo's wife. And there's a lot of courtroom struggle. But I like book 2. I find it because a lot of the real emails that were sent are used in book 2, and so they're pretty outlandish. So I think people will get a kick out of it. I know I do, but. And then there's a third book in the trilogy that's going to come from Bo's point of view. And I think the readers will have a fun time with that, because now we're getting a male's point of view, and, and what he was thinking while all this was going on. So I'm excited for that. That one's just about ready to be edited.
And that will come out when?
You know what? I'm hoping sometime this year. I hope. Just needs a little editing, which we all need. But yeah, book 3 is definitely, I'm hoping it's one of them. I think it'll catch people's attention most, because it is honest, and to see a man get so honest with his feelings and emotions and vulnerabilities, I think people will be drawn to that story.
Yeah, I'll be reading it. No question.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll be reading it. There's no question about that. So, but honestly, folks out there, this book is crazy. The second one is more detailed than the first, but the first one will make you want to buy the second book. Now, one of the things that I enjoyed most about reading your book was that you never once, and I mean never once, condoned adultery. You never once recommended for anyone. You stuck to you also weren't judgmental of anyone other than yourself. Okay, and the two people who were making your life hell, and that's fair enough. But you just stuck to your story. What did you learn from all this?
I really learned not to judge people so much, because in the past, before this happened with me, I was super judgmental. I mean, I knew someone that had, and that wasn't even my personal friend. It was a friend of a friend. And I learned that she had cheated on her husband, and they had a kid, which really bothered me. And I thought in my head, I hate her. I think she's a terrible person. Later, they ended up getting back together, which is interesting. And later I got to know her, and I got to know a little more of her story. And I thought, you know what? How dare me to judge someone like that? And I think I've learned through my experience is you can't judge anybody, because unless you've really walked in their shoes, you don't know. Yeah, I mean, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know what led to that. I mean, no one knows. Even now, they don't know what I dealt with in that relationship. They don't know all the things that, a little of the mental abuse that I went through or any of that. They don't know. But so it really taught me not to be quick to judge people, and to, maybe learning not to judge myself so much. I think maybe I thought I was holier than thou, and guess what? I come off that platform. And so now I'm learning how to live with myself not being what I thought I was. And that, talk about falling from grace, I have to live with that. And, I've always tried to make my parents proud. And even though they're no longer here, I want them to be proud of me. And I want to do good. And, I'm sorry that I didn't do good. I wish I could have done it differently. I don't know how I would have, but I wish that I did. And so, no, I don't condone adultery or cheating or dishonestly or lies. I don't condone that at all. And I'm really learning from my own mistakes how to do better.
Yeah, I think you turned out pretty well. I think your parents would be very proud of you. They would have probably gave you a hard time about how things came about, but they seem like the right type of people. And I got to tell you, folks, if you want to read an exceptional tale, then I suggest you pick up Shattered Reality and Burnt Promises. Now, Brenda, where can we find these books? You can get them from your website, right?
You can get them from my website. They're definitely all over my website. You can go over to my blog, BrendaPerlin.com, or BrooklynandBo.com. So you'll see advertisement. You go to Amazon.com, put in Brenda Perlin. You'll see all my books. And so find me is easy.
It certainly is.
Well, it sounds really bad, doesn't it?
And that's okay, though. No, it's the way it should be. I've had people tell me how they've sold thousands of books, and it took me an hour to find them on the internet to check it out, because they just disappear. Anyway, thank you so much for being on the show. I wish you all the best with both Shattered Reality and Burnt Promises. And when the third one comes flying out of there, come on back and tell us all about it, will you?
I'd love that. Thank you so much, and I really had a lot of fun talking with you.
And the same to you. Good luck. That was Brenda Perlin. You can find her at BrendaPerlin.com, and that's where you'll find everything that she does. She's got links to everything there. And I tell you what, you need to get out there and get these books. These books are incredible. They really were. They grabbed me. Forget that chick flicks or chick nonsense. It's all good in the hood here. I'm a street kid. And I know, and every one of you that are listening to this show, when you pick up these books, you're going to be able to put a person's face that you know in one of these situations. It's that incredible. That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of the Writer Showcase podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, just contact me at thewritershow.wordpress.com, or you can go to philnaessens.com and leave me a voicemail or a contact button. If you want to purchase Shattered Reality or Burnt Promises, I'll leave a link to both in the show notes. Until next week,